Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. It's the day after and oh yes, it's time to spill the tea. It's time to unveil the real truth as to why Rossi was sacked yesterday morning so unexpectedly, catching every single Roma fan off guard. Now of course, I don't know the truth, but and nobody has told me the truth, but I've read this morning. I've read articles over articles. I have read articles from some very reliable newspaper agents, and the truth is very simple. The truth is that De Rossi has been sacked, and his sacking has got nothing to do with results on the pitch. And I think, look, ultimately, I had doubts, even yesterday afternoon. Immediately after reading the news of De Rossi being sacked, I was like, oh, okay, right, we started the season really bad, but surely we just haven't sacked a manager after 3 games, because ultimately football does not work like this. You do not give a manager back him for 3 years and then sack him after 3 games. This idea of De Rossi was too inexperienced, De Rossi didn't bring the results, the last 3 games were atrocious and all of that. As much as it was a good narrative to kind of attack De Rossi, it's not the truth. The truth is very simple, as everybody has spilt on the media, on the press, on the web today. The truth is very simple. Lena Solu and Daniele De Rossi's relationship became devastated after some decisions, which we will analyze in this video. The reason as to why De Rossi was sacked is because Lena Solu, the power that lady has in this team is immense. And that's something which I want to touch on because it's something scary. The amount of power that lady has inside this club is something scary, my friends. It's scary. It's the closest thing possible to Kim Jong-un. No, I'm joking, of course. The power that women has in the decision-making of this club is scary. De Rossi and Lena Soluku's relationship became really at its minimal scraps in these last few days. Everything started this summer with the Dybala situation and then made its way with the Zalewski situation, and all of these situations were the trigger that made Lena Solu call the Fredkins and say, I've had enough of this guy, let's sack him tomorrow morning. And that is the truth. Lena Solu is destroying our football club. Lena Solu is the ruin of AS Roma. It's the ruin of this football club. It's absolutely ridiculous, the amount of power that, that lady has. To give some context, because context is important, Lena Solu is somebody that we haven't usually named in these videos. You either know who she is or you haven't got a clue what I'm speaking about. Lena Solu is the CEO of this football club. Lena Solu has been placed by the Fredkins as the image that works in Rome while they do all their business in America, which is why the Fredkins are so absent in Rome. They put Lena Solu to be the boss when they aren't in Rome, to be the lady who basically decides everything whenever they aren't here. And with this, Lena Solu was appointed CEO last year. I think it was definitely a full year since she's the CEO. What basically happened is that, of course, the Fredkins were absent. The Fredkins were never in Rome. So they gave all the power to this lady who they got from Olympiakos in Greece, because she's Greek herself, put her into this club as the power, and kind of give all the power, reflect all the power from the Fredkins to Lena Solu. Now, again, I'm not defending the Fredkins here. I'm saying it's all Lena's fault. My opinion doesn't change. The Fredkins need to go as soon as possible. The Fredkins need to make their bags and leave this city and this club as soon as possible. This doesn't defend the Fredkins in some way. The Fredkins are fucking idiots. The situation does not change. But however, the trigger to this decision is Lena Solu, and it's all in her hands. It's ridiculous. The amount of power this lady has is ridiculous at this football club. So, what basically happened is that Lena Solu did not digest some of these last-minute behaviors from De Rossi, which exacerbated in these last couple of weeks. My opinion is simple. I think the day Dybala was stabbed in the back by Lena Solu and Dan Fredkins is the day De Rossi was sacked. The day in August that De Rossi basically decided, and all of that Dybala scandal happened, because we know what happened. There's no hiding anymore. We have understood what has happened. We've understood what has happened. Lena Solu, a warm day in August, went to De Rossi and said, me, Ryan, with the help of Florian Ghisolfi and Dan Fredkin, have understood that Dybala is not part of this project and should not be part of this project. We don't want you to start him anymore because we want to sell him, which is ultimately why we bought Sule. I keep on saying this. The reason why we bought Sule was because Dybala was going to end up leaving. So, this situation is this entire catastrophe started in August when the Dybala situation upheld. It does not get simpler than this. So they wanted to sell Dybala. Of course, De Rossi, what did he do? Dybala is his biggest player. Went to Lena and said, why do we want to sell him all of a sudden? I understand that Dybala doesn't guarantee you every single game, but Dybala has changed the equilibrium of this team for the past 2 seasons. Lena Solu and Ryan Fredkin basically sold Dybala. Last minute decision coming from Dybala himself, and ultimately because the bid from the Saudis were very, very low, Dybala decides to stay. From that moment, De Rossi was being told by the Lena Solu and the Fredkins to not start Dybala in games anymore because they will want to sell Dybala in January or in the future transfer window. And if Dybala plays a certain amount of games this season, in fact, starts a certain amount of games this season, Dybala gets a contract extension automatically. And that goes against the project of Lena Solu and the Fredkins. So what Lena Solu and Dan Fredkin did is basically persuade De Rossi not to start Dybala in games in the start of the season, so that the 14 games that Dybala needs to start to get the automatic contract extension don't get triggered. Now what happened? This is why Dybala didn't start against Cagliari. Remember De Rossi got all the hate for Dybala not being started? Well, now we know the truth. It's because he was basically handcuffed to not start Dybala in games. So Dybala didn't start against Cagliari in the first game of the season. Then what happened? Dybala started against Cagliari, and Lena Solu, Dan Fredkin were a bit suspicious. Dybala didn't start against Juventus, and they were like, fine, he's understood us. What happened after the Genoa game? Of course, Dybala started, and that was not tolerated by Lena Solu and Dan Fredkin, who had a massive clash with Daniele De Rossi himself in this, arguing about the fact that Dybala shouldn't have started, because the more games Dybala starts, the higher the chances an automatic contract extension with an increase in wages, of course, which is something that they don't want to do because they've cleared all wages, is going to happen. So the Dybala dilemma is massive in understanding why De Rossi got sacked. Because De Rossi wants to use him, the Fredkins and Lena has said, don't you dare use him, or otherwise we will need to end up paying him for the next 3 years. I'm going to say this now. Mark my words. Mark my words. Dybala will leave in January 100%. Because what we need right now is Urich to have the balls to go against this decision and start Dybala in games. The number one thing that Lena Solu and Dan Fredkin told Ivan Urich yesterday or today is, don't start Dybala on Sunday, don't start Dybala ever, because we don't need him anymore, we don't want him anymore, I don't want to pay him anymore. So what happens now is Urich either presents himself to be as a massive, contradictor of Lena Solu, understands this but ultimately starts him for the benefit of Roma, or most likely will give in the decisions of this incompetent twats, incompetent idiots, incompetent board. Urich is here, and this is a chance of his life. do we really think that Urich, in this chance of his life, will immediately start going against Lena Solu and Dan Fredkin? No, Dybala won't start on Sunday because Urich will be persuaded not to start Dybala on Sunday. Trust me, it's going to be like this. Dybala will leave in January. I could not be more convinced. So, ultimately, we need to hope that Urich is brave enough to go against Lena, to go against the decisions of this incompetent board, which won't happen because he's here and he knows this is the chance of his life to manage a club like Roma, coming from dimensions of Verona and Torino, and for his own managerial sake. Because if he does well in this season and doesn't get a contract extension, then his CV will massively pump up. So I don't think Urich will have I agree. Look, Marco, I agree. Urich has never been one to follow instructions. I fully agree, and that's what I love about him. His personality is big. But do we really think that a manager like Urich, if Mourinho and De Rossi did not withstand the pressure of Lena and the Fredkins, do we really think Urich is going to kind of not give in the demands of the Fredkins and Lena Solu? No, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, these managers are the puppet of this incompetent board. Urich will be another puppet. Urich will be controlled under a wire, and this wire, whoever holds this wire is Lena Solu. What Urich will say in press conferences, what Urich will say in post-match press conferences, all of what Urich is going to do in this next year will be controlled by Lena Solu, because they've understood that if they don't control Urich, Urich is somebody who will unleash hell. It's kind of a similar Mourinho vibe, and they don't want that. So, unfortunately, I can't see positive things happen. This is a mess. This is a mess. And I ask myself what went around Urich's mind in accepting this mess. Respect. I absolutely respect that guy, because who on earth would accept this mess? And a board which basically controls you, censorship, because censorship is big in this board right now, an ownership which completely forgets about the values of this team and the values of these fans and do whatever they fuck they want. And the managers are puppets of these owners. And Urich will be another one. He will be controlled. He will be manipulated around. Second reason, Dybala dilemma. Second dilemma is Zalewski's dilemma. Now, what happened with Zalewski? The Fredkins decided, this is a decision coming from the board. So again, there is no reason to hate on De Rossi because it's not his decision. The board decided after Zalewski refused to extend his contract and at the same time refused to go to Galatasaray for 10 to 12 million. The Fredkins and Lena decided to put Zalewski out of the team. Now, what happened in the press conference last Sunday before the Genoa game? De Rossi in the press conference, go back, it's there, go back and watch it, was asked why Zalewski and this situation happened with Zalewski, and he said that the decision of putting Zalewski out of the team was not his and that it was all in the hands of Lena and the board. This was not tolerated. It's another thing which wasn't tolerated because De Rossi blamed them. Because De Rossi basically blamed them for this situation, which according to them made Zalewski's agents go and proceed with legal actions. Now, all of a sudden, De Rossi's gone, nobody blames you anymore. We don't want legal actions after De Rossi said this. You know what? Let me reintegrate Zalewski back in the team. And yes, Zalewski has been reintegrated back in the team. They are idiots. They are idiots. How do people still defend them? How do people still defend this board? They are clowns. They are clowns. Mourinho had unmasked these clowns and he got sacked for it. These are incompetent clowns. That's all they are. Number 3, Totti's interview. Totti's interview is another one. Totti's interview. Totti's interview is the example which shows you the amount of power that Lena Solu has in this team. Totti last week, interview released, I believe it was Il Corriere dello Sport or another newspaper. He released an interview. Of course, Totti hasn't got a contract with Roma. The Fredkins don't pay Totti. Totti can say whatever you want. Totti has the rights to say whatever he wants about this club, about these owners, about De Rossi, because you don't pay him, and there's something here called freedom of speech. So Totti can say whatever he wants. Totti released an interview saying that De Rossi's risk of becoming he used the word parafulmine in Italian. Parafulmine in Italian means somebody who, if things don't go well, all of the blame will go on him. Totti basically said, if the situation continues like this, De Rossi will unfortunately be the one who will get all the blame despite all of this mess. And he basically said that if the situation continues like this, De Rossi will basically follow the track and the footsteps of Mourinho, with an ownership and a board basically firing him and abandoning him whenever he faces difficulties. That's effectively what Totti said. Lena Solu did not like the fact that in the press conference, Daniele De Rossi did not defend the board to go against Totti. And what happened is that Lena Solu, one of the reasons, of course it wasn't the reason, one of the reasons which accumulated, the fact that De Rossi did not defend them against Totti's words, and by the way, Totti can say whatever he wants because he's not under contract and there's freedom of speech. Lena, because she's I want to be the most powerful woman in this football club, a bitch, she's a fucking bitch. Basically what happened is that she didn't like the fact that De Rossi defended her and the club, and basically she feared Totti's words in a way that she would lose more power, because she feared a Totti-De Rossi alliance, of course, with all of the fans following them and backtracking on them, on Lena and the club, because De Rossi and Totti are the legends and the idols of this fan base. So of course, if Totti and De Rossi ally together, all of the fan base will follow them and not the board. So another of the reasons why De Rossi was sacked and used as a scapegoat is the fact that she was scared to lose the power she has after Totti's words. It's a mess. It's a mess. I am happy that De Rossi left this mess, because De Rossi did not deserve this club right now. De Rossi did not deserve these owners. De Rossi did not deserve this mess. Which is why I read a very interesting tweet yesterday which said, of somebody, I don't know the page, somebody tweeted, De Rossi looks extremely relieved when leaving Trigoria. De Rossi looked extremely relieved when leaving Trigoria, signing autographs. That is not the attitude of a manager who just got sacked. De Rossi's pissed, of course he is. But deep down, De Rossi is relieved to have escaped this mess. You need somebody, all of us, use social media. Let's protest. We need to kick this dictator out, this lady out, these owners out. This is the ruin of this football club. They are the ruins of this football club. The ruins of this football club. We need to act all together. This is why this is the purpose of communities like this one. We're a strong community. I love you all. I've read comments against me in these past few days. At the end of the day, nobody forces you to watch these videos. You might like me, you might hate me. It's completely normal. You might like my videos, you might hate my videos. You might like the arguments I make. You might hate them, you might like the way I express my arguments or not. I try to be honest because I care about my football club. I try to express honesty on this channel because we deserve being honest. We deserve to know the truth with an ownership who never speaks. We are here having created this community. It's good. I'm good. I post the videos, edit the videos for you guys. This is how the community works. But in moments like this, the voice of this community, please, let's unite together against this mess. Let's kick these idiots out. They have used the club legend, one of the biggest club legends, managers. They've backstabbed him. They've backstabbed Dybala this summer. They've backstabbed De Rossi. They've backstabbed Mourinho. I have had enough of them betraying the components which make up the team and ultimately betraying us. So please, make yourself loud. Whether you're in Rome going to the stadium on Sunday, protest, banners, shouts and all of that. Or if you're not, if you're not in Rome, use social media, the power of social media. comment. Please, let's do it, because we need to kick these idiots out. This 19th of September, we have really reached the depths of the depths. We have reached a limit. We have reached a limit where, personally, I don't want to go deeper because we're so down low. We are a mess. We are a fucking mess. We are a mess. And we are the victims of this mess. Because of these incompetent twats who don't know what the hell they're doing. And I'm going to take this because I'm an honest guy. I'm going to take this chance. If there are any Mourinho fans in this chat, in this video, watching this video, you might ultimately, at the end of the day, you might not like Roma fans. You might not like me because I've criticized Mourinho in the past. I'm here to say that I fucking love Mourinho because I have finally understood that everything Mourinho said was the truth. I have understood that everything Mourinho said in press conferences was to unmask these clans. I apologise to whatever I said against Mourinho, but please don't forget that I was the last one who wanted Mourinho being sacked. And I literally cried the day Mourinho was sacked. So please don't forget that, because sometimes, again, I always get misinterpreted. Mourinho and Rossi were here to get the best out of this football club, to get the best out of us fans. And they have been sacked because they wanted to get the best out of us. They have been sacked because they said the truth. And they both have been sacked in a way that they've been backstabbed. So please, everybody, I don't care who you are, let's unite together because we need to battle this mess. It's a mess and we do not deserve this. I really do mean it. The one thing that I say right now is this. I miss Mourinho. I miss De Rossi. I really do. I really do. Forget, please. I'm not focusing on how Mourinho played, on how the results Mourinho achieved in the league or not. I'm not bringing Mourinho back in the context. All I'm saying is Mourinho was right because Mourinho unmasked these clans. I am not getting into the discussions of whether Mourinho played well or not because that is secondary. Mourinho has been sacked. All I'm here to say is that Mourinho always said the truth. De Rossi always said the truth as well. And they were 100% right because this is a fucking mess. And I want my club back more than ever. I read a comment saying, you're like 15 years old. How can you ever say that you want your club back? First of all, I'm not 15 years old, I'm 19 years old. Number two, I haven't watched this team win the league, but I've watched this team dominate in Europe, beat Barcelona's Messi 3-0, reach a Champions League final and being robbed of a Champions League final from. I have seen this team get second every single time, and only because Juventus was living golden eras, I did not win league titles. I miss that. And I want that back. And with this board, with this owners keeping all secret, and then ultimately the truth will get spilt. Lena Solu is a bitch. Dan Fredkin is a bitch. Ryan Fredkin is a bitch. They've backstabbed everybody and they've backstabbed us as well. And I have had enough. Urich will get backstabbed too if he ever says something out of context. With that being said, I'm going to leave you to watch Champions League football because you all deserve it. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you tomorrow. I will read comments tomorrow, so please come back tomorrow. We will speak about Urich and the way he plays and the person he is tomorrow. So come back tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we will speak about the game. What a game. What a game. Lena, Ryan and Dan, if you're watching this, if you've got balls, present yourself at the stadium on Sunday. We will make you understand what the hell you did and what the hell you deserve. Bye-bye. Good night. Simo out.